Hello. So, I just wanted to do a quick little overview of the three candidates for the Virginia election because it's kind of been my bread and butter. May as well look at their campaign sites and do a little overview of each of them. That'd be a good little thing to go over. I mean, I've mentioned it before. But yeah, let's delve into it, starting with Terry McAuliffe, the candidate for the Democratic Party. Well, that's not fun to see, but yeah, I don't like being greeted donations at the top, but -1. Let's look through. Overall, blue and green theme, kind of standard, but here, let's look through. You have this little why he's running statement. It kind of bog standard for all candidates, but, is what it is. And then here's the big thing. What is he going to do? Why vote for him specifically? Terry's vision. So let's go through that. So this is kind of a standard thing. I'm pretty sure if I go to Glenn Youngkin's site, I'll see the same thing. But I mean, I guess we'll see shortly. But, kind of standard. But that's all fine. I like that. I do like that he mentions climate change. That's important to me. But here's the bread and butter. This is the important thing to me. These are all of his little plans. And if you click through them, you get a simple little explanation. So if you're in a hurry, you can just read that and you're good. That's what he wants to do. But here's why I really like Terry McAuliffe, and it's probably my biggest plus for his website and his candidacy as a whole, is you can see the read Terry's full plan and read the one-pager. So if we go to his full plan, you just get access to a 6 to 8 page document on just like what he wants to do specifically. And here we can see stuff like, career and technology or education certificate programs and internship opportunities and all this great stuff. And the reason why I'm mentioning all this and looking at all these programs is I'm an idealist, and I know a lot of people are as well. But the problem is you really have to worry or think about how you actually can do those things. You have to be a realist in terms of implementing like what you want. And these kinds of specific plans of how he's going to get these things accomplished then, in order to work towards his ideals, that's the most important thing to me. So if we look at another example here, the rural society or rural community things, this is important to me. Just, reading Terry's full plan and the one-pager, just bam, you get all the little things, Terry's record and what he wants to do for it. Excellent stuff, great summary. People are really busy and not everyone's incredibly politically motivated, which is what it is. But if you are, bam, you get a simple little thing. And I really like that. I think it looks nice. And of course, we also have the full plan so you can see exactly how he'd want to get this stuff done. And what his specific goals for that would be. Which, what can I say? I really like this. This is definitely the biggest plus for Terry McAuliffe and the reason why I decided to start supporting him over Glenn Youngkin. But let's be fair and take a look at his next after, looking through, and you can see there's a lot that he wants. So that's Terry McAuliffe's website. Let's look at Glenn Youngkin's now and see how it compares. Okay, so if we just go to Glenn Youngkin and just click on his page, may as well. Alright, takes a little while. Internet's not great out here. Perfect for a YouTuber. Or regardless, here he is. A new kind of leader for Virginia. Interesting. Just scroll through his page, his why is running statement. This is actually a little bit different because he immediately states that he's not a politician. I think I've already given my statement before that, I prefer people with experience, but, whatever. That's his brand, and apparently people like that. Whatever. Similar to Terry McAuliffe, he uses his donation page here, but at least I wasn't immediately greeted with that. That is a plus. I will have to give that to him. I'm fine with doing that. Now, I'm trying to find his policies, and let's see where we can do that. Home, day one. So, his day one game plan. Let's read through this. I'm excited. Okay, the game plan. One-party Democrat control, or bottom 10 states. Our students are behind in school. Violent crime is limited to a 20-year high. Well, now that I've made a few videos, I can actually just start to reference them for this. I believe I covered all this in the part 3 of the Glenn Youngkin versus Terry McAuliffe debate, if you wanted me to go full in on this. So, yeah, I don't really have to say anything other than that's not quite accurate. And if you want a full explanation, you can go and watch that video. But you probably already have, so thank you. All right, so he's going to cut costs and cut taxes and stuff. Okay, ending runaway property taxes by requiring voter approval for increases. I'm not really in favor of this, actually, not at all. Okay, so if you don't know, property taxes are set by counties and cities. And the reason why I wouldn't want to be in favor of this with their voter approval is that's kind of going to make it so that cities and counties can't really raise taxes at all, which I get is his point. However, the thing is, cities tend to want to do more public services, and that means they're going to raise their taxes more. Like, you're going to pay more property taxes in a city than a rural community, which is the one thing that keeps rural communities or counties alive, is that if taxes get too high in a city, then people move away. So if they're going to change it to this, that's not really going to be like the case anymore, because property taxes are just not really going to be raised at all anywhere. So cities are going to struggle with making budgets, and rural communities can kind of be starved by that. I can go more into this in depth in a later video, but just taking a glance at this, I don't really like this. This doesn't seem like a good idea to me. But yeah, so overall, not in favor of that. And cutting income taxes, I mean, okay, so he's going to cut taxes. Just keep that in mind. Now, keeping our community safe. It's actually something that Terry McAuliffe and him have been more or less similar about, if I'm going to be totally honest. Fixing our broken mental health system. It's kind of hilarious, because if you see here, can't really scroll down and find a full page or even a one-page thing. That's it. He's just going to fix it, and he's not going to tell you how. Very cool. I like that, you know. It's a bold man. And I'll just move on. Reinvigorate job growth. Again, no full page or one page, just simple one-text things. I don't like that. Like, just one of Terry McAuliffe's plan segments is longer than each one of these sections for each individual issue. So that's quite annoying. Keeping Virginia open, I assume that's in regards to COVID. I mean, it just doesn't seem like a good idea to me. But, you know, whatever. If he's talking about COVID recovery, I wouldn't want something like that. Regardless, moving on to education. I mean, just saying stuff is better, whatever. This is the same kind of things. But here, raising teacher pay and investing in special education and stuff, that's kind of interesting to me, because that implies that he's raising costs. But if you remember and go back to the cut costs for Virginians, I'm not sure exactly what he means by that, because he's going to be cutting income taxes and cutting grocery taxes and cutting taxes. So it doesn't say where he's going to raise the money for this, because I didn't see where he was cutting spending. So he's just going to lower taxes and raise spending. That's a recipe for success right there. He's also going to fix the DMV. Easy, you know. Not going to say how, he's just going to do it. I like that, you know. Again, bold strategies. Very, very cool. And, yeah. It took him this long to get his plan together, and this is it. Quite disappointing to me, if I'm going to be honest. That's a big knock on Glenn Youngkin, and the reason why I was not a fan of him that much. Because that's kind of garbage. Well, let's move on. Okay, so Princess Blanding. She's a libertarian, and let's go to her website and see what exactly she's about. The third-party candidate, so, you know, she's not going to win, but whatever. Let's look into it. Okay, so if you look through here, you will quickly find out that she is a progressive. Which, yeah, is what it is, but so a progressive third-party candidate. And, I mean, yeah, liberation to human right. Yeah, so progressive. So, I was agreed with donation image. I like that. And bam, policies are right there. Cool. So, yeah, let's look through them. Public safety and criminal justice reform. You know, ending qualified immunity. Terry McAuliffe had to drop this because this is not electorally popular, which kind of goes into my whole point against Princess Blanding, is that, again, I like idealism. A lot of people are idealists, but the most important part, because idealism is completely worthless if you don't actually think about how you're going to get those ideas enacted. You have to be very, very determined, or I guess determined's the wrong word, but like, you have to really think through how you're going to get this stuff done. Like what's electorally possible and what can you actually put in place in order to start working towards your goal. But looking through the rest of this stuff, I mean, a lot of that's cool, like restoring voting rights to people with prior felony convictions and increasing mental health stuff. I mean, it's better than not having that. But again, there's no like 1 or 2 page thing for all this stuff. So, I mean, that's not really that great. Ending cooperation with ICE. I'm not sure if I've talked about this already, but that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'll maybe have to go into that more in depth later, but I haven't. I don't know if I've covered my experience with that. So I'll get into that later. Regardless, moving on. Systemic racism. Yeah, that exists. Pretty good message for this. Yeah. Financial literacy programs, building up black generational wealth. That's a good idea. I mean, just because redlining ended didn't mean that its effects ended. They're still very, very present, which I'll definitely try and get into a future video. I have a lot of future video ideas if you haven't noticed. But environmental justice, yeah, clean energy, that's good. Better than Glenn Youngkin. I mean, yeah. One problem is that this is kind of stuff that Terry McAuliffe already covers, so I'm not sure how much of this is necessary. And if we look through the education stuff, that looks like, if I was someone and I read that, I would immediately think critical race theory, which is not electorally popular. But I would like to see, if you didn't watch that part 3 video, I would like to see more representation for black and brown people in like history class. I'm not opposed to that. And what else do I see here? Yeah, ending school to prison. What the fuck? Okay. Make statewide the practice of pooling county revenue to fund public education based on the number of students served. So I would be in favor of trying to move away funding schools through local property taxes. I feel like that's actually a bad idea because that just makes rich people just have a very big advantage and hurts black and brown people. During like competitions, I've visited like richer school counties, and like even I'm like, I wish I had some of these opportunities. Okay, so moving on to housing. Immediately, rent control. Bad policy. Very bad policy. I'm gonna make a video about that eventually, but rent control is terrible. I'm just looking through the rest of this housing stuff. This is not... Oh, no. Okay, Terry McAuliffe's housing policies are definitely better than that, and rent control is a horrific policy. Okay. So, alright, we found our first thing I very much disagree with her on. Healthcare and COVID. I mean, yeah, and LGBT rights. I'm going to speed through this, but if you're voting for Princess Blanding for LGBT plus rights, I don't know why you would if it's your single issue thing. Because Terry McAuliffe's legacy on that, if you didn't see my video, he defended that so heavily. And, like, yeah, I don't see a reason why I would pick Princess Blanding over Terry McAuliffe for that. Like, he's actually really based on that issue. Okay, so let's summarize this. The reason why I don't really like Princess Blanding, and ignore my horrific typing, this election is quite close, as we'll soon find out. So, being a third-party progressive candidate, someone who's voting for Princess Blanding is more closely aligned to Terry McAuliffe than to Glenn Youngkin. And because the race is so close, a vote for her is kind of like voting for Glenn Youngkin. Now, that's not a good thing. I mean, it's a result of like that two-party system or whatever. But again, I have stressed this before, I'll stress it again. I'm an idealist, but you have to be incredibly realistic for how you're actually going to achieve the change that you want to see. Or, in other words, what is electorally possible that you want to see done? And voting for a candidate like this, or even running like a candidate like this, is not going to accomplish your goals. If you're a progressive and you're voting for Princess Blanding, Terry McAuliffe is way closer to your goals than Glenn Youngkin ever could be. So that, in short, is why I'm not someone who supports Princess Blanding.